Once again, my learners over there, I'm greeting you. How are you doing? How has the day taken you so far? How are you seeing sun so far? Okay, let me hope that now you are seeing it as the way I'm seeing it. Okay, put on that smile. Always, I've been telling you that a smile makes you wiser. In this lesson number 31, we are now going to start with our word bank here. So we, as usual, we normally start with that word bank, and there are 9 words. Let us start with this word here. So this word is read as tortoise. The word is tortoise. However, some of you call it tortoise. It is not tortoise, it is tortoise. And now this tortoise is in the same class with the terrapins, and also it is in the same class with what we call the turtles, right? Now all these ones are what we call the shelled vertebrates. We call them the shelled vertebrates. Some people confuse this question with a snail. A snail is a shelled invertebrate, but these ones are shelled vertebrates, and their shell or their shells are called the carapace. Sometimes they can say, give one example of an animal with a carapace, or how important is a carapace to some vertebrates. When they talk of carapace, sorry, here there is LA, carapace, they are talking of the shell. These tortoises are doing what? Carrying. So the tortoise, the terrapins, the turtles, they are under the shelled vertebrates, and the class of vertebrates to which they belong is what we call the reptiles. Why? They move by crawling, and they have lungs, my dear. They use lungs to breathe, and they have a 4-chambered heart like ours. Okay, so let us get another word here. This other word is transpiration. The word is transpiration. Now what does this word transpiration mean? Transpiration comes from the word transpire, so it means that the plants are losing water. The process, the act of losing water by the plants. They can lose water through the stomata. Some can lose their water through the lens cells, as we discussed in our previous lesson. So where we looked at the different types of transpiration, as in stomato, chitochila, reticular, and so on. I would say that transpiration is very important to these plants in that it enables plants to absorb more water and mineral salts from the soil. To absorb more water and mineral salts from the soil. 2, it keeps these plants cool. So transpiration cools the plant. However, when it is in excess, it's bad. Plants do wilt. Then we have this other word. What's this word there? It is read as alright, you've gotten that. It is read as regular. The word is regular. Now this word, this regular, do you know what it means? Yes, it is the larva stage of a mosquito. Remember we said this larva stage of a mosquito, especially for the Chilex mosquito, it uses the openings which we call the siphons to breathe, whereas to this Anopheles, it uses the spiracles to breathe. Then their pupa use what you call the trumpet, as well as the adult stage using the spiracles. Alright, so we have discovered here, what is this one? Alveoli. The word is alveoli. Say it, alveoli. It is alveoli, right? So alveoli, these are the air bags. We call them air bags. Another word, it is the air sacs. We call them air bags or air sacs. So now these actual sites in our lungs where gaseous exchange can take place. So in air sacs, that's where we have gaseous exchange taking place, and this exchange of gases, carbon dioxide from blood to the lungs, then from oxygen from the lungs to the blood, it occurs by the process called diffusion. It occurs by diffusion. So gaseous exchange occurs by the process called diffusion. This is tar. This is a tar. Now this tar is its brother or sister is called a nicotine. All of these ones are dangerously found in the tobacco, and now this tar is responsible for blackening the lungs, thus causing what we call lung cancer, whereas this nicotine is responsible for causing addiction. So people get addicted every time they want to smoke. What is in their blood? That is now the nicotine. Okay, so here we have the tongue. This word is tongue. The word is tongue. So the word is tongue. The word is the tongue. Now this tongue is found in a buccal cavity or buccal cavity. That is the space we find within our mouth, and the tongue is attached onto a bone, and that bone on which this tongue is held on is called the hyoid bone. The hyoid bone. Now this tongue is very important during the process of digestion. One, this tongue, it is there to roll food into a bolus, a capilla. Then two, this tongue creates pressure during swallowing. So it creates pressure for swallowing. After rolling, then you push it down there. Now it creates pressure for swallowing, and this tongue, it is used for testing of non-testing exams, testing for, and also this tongue mixes food with saliva. It mixes food with the saliva, and the tongue is the saliva is produced by what we call the salivary glands. Salivary glands. Then we have this other word here, and this other word is called, or is read as, mulching. So this is the covering of the topsoil. So it is the covering of the topsoil with plant materials, especially in the dry season to keep water in the soil, and also rainy season to control soil erosion. And also to improve on soil fertility. In case when the mulches, the materials we have used to mulch or to cover, they rot. When they rot, now they are going to turn into humus. Okay, we have this other word, conductor. Leave alone these conductors. Some members now are conductors. No, not those people who are collecting money in the fares in the taxis, buses. No. Now this one, in science, it means a substance or a material that can allow electricity or heat to pass through it, or to pass through them. For example, metals, and the best conductor is silver. Then from silver we have aluminium. Then there is copper. But the home utensils are made out of aluminium largely because aluminium has a low density and aluminium is cheap. They are not made out of silver, though silver is the best conductor simply because silver is very, very, very expensive. And now they are not made out of copper because copper has a very high density. Copper, you can't carry that saucepan made out of copper, to be heavy. Okay, now let us get this last word here. The word is bloat, and once we don't call this one bloat, we can call it hoven or hoven. Now this is a disease, and this disease attacks our animals. As it attacks our animals, it is not caused by any germ, and examiners want this. They say, name that cattle disease which is not caused by a germ. Oh, the answer is very simple. The answer is the bloat. So the bloat is not caused by any germ, but it is caused due to accumulation of gases in the rumen. Remember we said these animals, they are ruminants, they have 4 chambered stomachs. Now when these animals feed on succulent fruits like mangoes, like pawpaws, pineapples, now those gases they produce gases within their lumen. Now the gases accumulate, then the lumen swells, then the animal then that is what we call bloat. So accumulation of gases within the lumen of an animal as a result of feeding on a succulent fruits. My dear, those have been our 9 words. So these have been our 9 words: alveoli, tar, conductor, bloat, tortoise, transpiration, regular, tongue, and mulching. Let me hope that now you've understood them, you know now how to write them, and you know their simple meanings. Right, let us go and see our diagram for today. Oops, today we are now discussing a certain thing. Now we are having a foot, and I know now you have started saying the answer. Now this is the foot of a duck. Now these ducks, we categorize them in a group of birds called the swimming birds. Now why do you call them swimming birds? So they are swimming birds simply because they have webbed feet which act like pedals in water. You know pedals, like the pedals of your bicycle. So you use them to roll, and so even these ducks, they have webbed feet. So they are swimming birds. So swimming birds are those birds with webbed feet which act like pedals in water to help them to swim and move very, very, very fast. Then apart from having webbed feet, another characteristic is that they have a broad breastbone, a broad breastbone, echifuba. This one in their chest. So we call it the breastbone, the sternum. So it is very, very, very broad. And again, they have very many oil glands. So they have many oil glands. Now these oil glands, one, to keep them warm. Remember, they majorly stay on water now, and they are warm-blooded. Their temperature is constant, so they have those oil glands that produce oil to protect their bodies against the cold water, so even to prevent this water from entering their skins. So another one, they have what we call flat beaks. So they have flat beaks which are spoony, are shaped with cross blades at a margin. So with cross blades at the margin, at the margin of the beak, which helps them to sieve their food from mud. Whenever you see these ducks in mud, they're not drinking that water, but now they are sieving out the worms in that water. That what is helping them, the flat beak, which is spoon shaped with cross blades at margins, to filter out food from the mud. Then this is what we call the web. So this is the foot, and now this is what we call the web. In exams they can do this and they say name structure X. Structure X is a web, the group of birds. It belongs to swimming birds. Now how important is this structure X? It enables this bird to swim in water by acting as a pedal. Are we getting that? And apart from this duck, this is a domestic swimming bird. Then we have another domestic swimming bird which is called the goose, or when they're female we call them the geese. Then apart from these ones, we have what we call the pelicans, bure. Then we have what we call the swans. Then we have the seagulls. Seagulls is the bure Muruganda. Then we have the cormorants. We have the cormorants. So cormorants, seagulls, swans, pelicans, ducks, geese are under what we call the swimming birds. My dear learner, have you remembered? Then apart from swimming birds, we have other classes of birds like the scratching birds, the flightless birds, the birds which can't fly, like the emu, where we put the cassowary, where we put the kiwi, where we put the ostrich. These birds which are very heavy and they have a lot of bony marrows which prevents them from flying. So we have the wading birds. Now the wading birds, they try to resemble the swimming birds, but these wading birds, they generally live along river banks, sides of the river sides, and again they do have long thin legs. They have long thin legs with half-webbed feet. And this shape prevents them from sinking in mud. If now the leg is short, then they can sink. Now they have long legs and the feet are half-webbed and widely spread to prevent them from sinking in mud, and they have long beaks to catch smaller animals like frogs in water. And the best example is the crested crane. So the crested crane, it's there. Then we have another one as in the heron. Then we have the flamingos and also the ibis as the best examples of the swimming birds. Alright, as the best examples of the wading. We can call them wading, or you can pronounce this one as wading. Crested crane, heron, flamingos, ibis. We've said they have long legs with half-webbed feet that are well spread or spread out or widely spread to prevent them from sinking to prevent them from sinking in mud. Alright, so let us move on and see what we are going to discuss in today's lesson. Now let me hope that you are still there. You've given me your attention. So today we are going to discuss again this activity here, and this word is called insemination. And once you don't call this one insemination, you can also call it service. So insemination or service, what does it mean? So insemination, we are having this word in, and we have the word semen. We can get these two words. And semen, we are looking at things that are related to the sperms. Therefore, what is insemination? So insemination is the act of depositing or putting. So it's the act of depositing sperms or semen into the vagina of an animal. into the vagina of, if it is a female, if it's a cow, it can be a nanny, it can be a ewe, it can be a sow. So when you are putting it can be a woman. So when you are putting those sperms inside there, that's what we call insemination. So insemination is the act of depositing semen containing sperms into the vagina of other cow. Sometimes they can be put in the vagina, sometimes they can be put in the cervix, sometimes can be put in the uterus. It depends on which type of insemination we are looking at. Now when you're under cattle, we have types of insemination. Types of insemination, methods of putting semen inside the vagina or uterus or cervix. One, there is what we call natural cervix or natural insemination, and two, there is what we call the artificial insemination. Now let us start with the natural insemination and we get to know what does it mean. So natural insemination, this is the act of depositing sperms into the vagina of a cow by a bull. When the bull uses its penis and inserts its penis inside the vagina there and pours sperms inside there, then that is what we call natural insemination. So this is the method where a bull is used to deposit sperms into the vagina of a cow. But what does it use? It uses its stick, that is the what and the penis are with there. So we've said insemination is the depositing of sperms or semen containing sperms inside the vagina or into the vagina of a cow. It can be the uterus or the cervix. Then there are two types of cervix or insemination, natural and artificial, whereby natural it is a bull depositing sperms into the vagina of this animal. Now let us see how advantageous what is the advantage, or what are the advantages of natural insemination. So the advantages of natural insemination here. Now the advantages of this natural insemination, one, we are having this one, it is easy for a bull to note signs of heat. It is very easy for that bull, see the signs of heat, to just know that this cow is ready, it needs service. So it is very easy. Two, it does not bother a farmer to look for a qualified inseminator. So it does not bother a farmer to look for a qualified inseminator. No, the bull is just there monitoring, so it doesn't bother a farmer to get a qualified inseminator. Then again, this one does not deny animals natural feelings for sex. Animals, they are not denied. They are not denied their natural sexual feelings. So animals are not denied their natural sexual feelings. No, they enjoy that, because in nature they have to do that. Then number next here. Here it is easy for the bull to inseminate a cow. But now you bring in an inseminator, doesn't know where the cervix is, then he's not seeing there, but a bull, the penis just understands that, because that is its function. So it is very easy for a bull to inseminate the cow. Okay, however, it is very good, but again it has some disadvantages. Now what are these disadvantages? One of the disadvantages, it is that it encourages inbreeding. Nezezala mama nalinyira omwana like that tata. It encourages inbreeding. This is one. Two, it is expensive to transport a bull if it's not around. It's expensive to transport a bull. Expensive to transport a bull if it is not around. From where you get it to Chireka, again you take it back. Anyway, it is expensive. No. So it is difficult to control venereal diseases. It is difficult to control cattle parasites and diseases, which we call the venereal diseases. Number four, this method here, small cows may be injured. Small cows may be injured by the big bulls. Injured by the big bulls. Papa. Then the legs then cannot walk. Now, so those are the disadvantages of unnatural insemination. Then this natural insemination has systems. There are 2 of them. One, there is what we call the handy mating. Now, there is handy mating, and also 2, there is what we call pasture mating. Now, pasture mating, this one is just done by the bulls. When you take the animals to graze, then the bulls, as they are grazing, they are now monitoring the cows. Then they just see the cows by themselves. Then they give it. But with this hand mating, especially farmers who are carrying out zero grazing, they are the ones to identify that my animal is on heat. Then they take this animal to the bull. To the bull. So that is what we call handy mating. You take it, you tie it there, you stand, they mate it, then you take it back. Are you getting? So those are the 2 systems of what we call natural insemination, where a bull deposits sperms into the vagina of this animal. Okay, so from there, now let us go and see what we call the artificial insemination here. Now under here, this is a method where we get a trained inseminator. Now this one involves what we call a trained inseminator. Then this trained inseminator has to deposit sperms into the vagina, but now not using his penis. He has to use a syringe. He gets the sperms from the fridge, then he puts them in a syringe, then he wears long polythene gloves, then smears them with sabuni, that is soap foam, then to become smooth, because they can cause injuries to the vagina. Then pushes then gets the syringe with the sperms, then inside that vulva, then to the cervix, to the vagina, then pushes the sperms just there. Then they just swim, they go to where they're supposed to go. So that is what we call artificial insemination. So this is a method where a trained inseminator uses a syringe, to deposit sperms into the vagina of a cow. So how advantageous is this? So the advantages of artificial insemination, they are the disadvantages of natural insemination. One, it controls venereal diseases, because this doctor doesn't have ticks. Controls venereal diseases, that is one. 2, when you look at this one, it controls inbreeding. Then 3, prevents injuries in small heifers. In smaller heifers. These small cows in small heifers. Then 4, a farmer keeps another cow than a bull. Bulls don't produce, the other cow is producing, so a farmer keeps another cow instead of a bull. Then number 4, it is cheaper to pay artificial. It is cheaper to pay the inseminator than keeping a bull. You have to give it feeds, you have to do what, to treat it, but you just call the inseminator, they do the service. Then cheap. So it is cheaper to pay the inseminator than to keep the bull. And again, sperms from dead good quality bulls can be still used. So the bull it might have died long time ago, but the sperms were protected. Now sperms from good dead bulls can still be used. Alright, so it is very advantageous, but again it has some disadvantages to the animals. So when you use artificial insemination, the animal doesn't enjoy. So the animals, it denies the animals their natural right for sex. So they have that right to mate. So it denies animals their natural right for what? For sex. So, and again, there is lack of storage facilities we don't have where to keep these sperms. Remember, these sperms are kept under coldness, and especially under what we call liquid nitrogen, which is very expensive, and the canisters are not everywhere. So we have what we call lack of the storage facilities where these things are going to be kept. The sperms, we get them, then we keep them, and we pass them over. And again, the inseminator may not be readily available. The inseminator may not be readily available. Now you see this scenario. Sechito has a cow, Agaba has a cow, and me I have also a cow. Now I call this inseminator to come and inseminate mine. Then he will say, I'm not around, I'm in Chadwajala. I've gone to attend to Agaba's cow. Then after there, I have to go to Sechito in Buto or Chiwanga. I do that. Then I'll be there maybe next week. I'm getting a mini cover, Now, but for you, that heat pro doesn't last for so long. Now, it makes things difficult. So the inseminator may not be readily available. I'm getting that. Then again, here, some farmers may not be able to detect heat in cows. There are those farmers who are busy, so they cannot be able to detect the cow or a cow on heat. Are you getting that? So those are some of the disadvantages. Okay, so let us look at our last part, and this part which we are going to discuss here is going to be the heat period. What is heat period? Because we've said a farmer cannot, some farmers can fail to detect a cow on heat. Then what's a heat period? So heat period, this is the period when a cow or a heifer is ready to mate with a bull to result into pregnancy. So this is the period of time when a cow is ready to mate, ready to mate with a bull to result, this word is very important, to result into pregnancy. This word must be there. For them, they're not like animals. They have sex every time they have sex every day, night, evening, but they don't get pregnant. But these animals, they have sex for a reason. That's why you have to put this one. So they get those feelings. That's heat period. So it's when a cow is ready to be mated, is ready to mate with a bull to result into a pregnancy. Now, if you're a farmer, how do you know? Now let us look at the signs of the heat period in these animals. 1. The cow becomes restless, or it needs the pens, so it becomes restless until it is injected. A cow mounts others, showing the signal that this is what I want you to do me. A cow mounts others. So a cow mounts other animals, and also a cow, this cow allows others to mount it, minus fighting, minus moving away. So it allows other animals to mount it, or jirinyira. So to mount it or to mount her. Then 4, if you are milking it, so there is reduction in milk production. So reduction in milk production. Then 5, the animal rises the temperature slightly, so there is slight rise in body temperature, and that will cause the muzzle to dry even. And again here, the cow urinates frequently. It urinates frequently. Then again here, the vulva swells. That opening, that outer meat there, it swells and change color. So it swells and changes the color. The vulva swells and changes color. Then again, it makes a lot of noise. It makes a lot of noise, and this animal, it has what we call a mucus discharge from the vulva. So mucus discharge from the vulva, and lastly, it puts the tail aside to enable the tail the vulva to be seen by these other bulls. My dear learner, let me hope that you've enjoyed the lesson for today. Lesson 31. Let us go and do the activity. Okay, number 1, define insemination. Define insemination. Number 2, identify the 2 types of insemination. of insemination. 3. What is grazing? Then 4. Identify 2 products got from milk. Number 5. How does a fish move? Identify the animal. That moves by slithering. Number 7. What is zero grazing? Number 8. Write PHC in full. Number 9. How useful is a vent pipe on a VIP latrine? Number 10. Define germination. How useful, how advantageous is transpiration to a plant? What are physical changes? What are physical changes? 13. Explain the term heat period. Explain the term heat period. How can a farmer tell an animal on heat? Then 15. Define a flower. 16. Why do bees visit flowers? Alright, you've been a good learner. We meet in the next lesson. That will be lesson number 31.